Kurdt Vanderhoof, tell us how you got into rock and roll. What is it that you heard when you were a little kid that went, I got to do that?
Beatles on Ed Sullivan.
Wow, that's common.
Yes.
So common. As you know, it's so common.
It's a life-changing
I was
event.
like 3 years old, and it was like 3.5. And I remember that's like one of my first memories. And yeah, and then that following, it was February. So that summer, I got a toy drum kit, and I beat the crap out of it and never gave up. And then so the following Christmas, a year later, I got a real drum set. So then I never stopped. But yeah, that was my first memory. And I know I'm not alone in that. Tons of people did that. Yeah.
Well,
so,
do you
change the world?
Yeah. I was going to say, do you feel like at that moment, all of the 3.5-year-old little kids, girls, boys, whoever, seeing that shit just went, what is happening right now?
Well, I don't know if that many kids at that age, my age, when I was doing it, were aware of it, but I do know, people that were maybe a little bit older, 5, especially if you were a teenager.
Oh my God.
In 1964. I mean, that would, I literally remember my sister, she was 11 years older than me. Literally, that was, I think it was a Sunday night. That next morning, everybody's hair when they went to school was different. So, because everybody was greasing their hair back, and then the Beatles on Ed Sullivan the next morning, nobody put grease in their hair and had bangs. It was just like that, everything just changed, like just a tectonic shift in the world, and it's
fucking revolution.
Yeah, fully. And that'll never happen again. I mean, I can't imagine. I mean, there'll be little bits of it, but something that just earth shaking, just,
Well, that was that makes me think of that, the old Army commercials, be all you can be.
Yeah.
Beatles on Ed Sullivan sounds like it was the Beatles showing the world you can be whatever you want to be.
It changed the world, literally. The Beatles changed the world.
Unbelievable.
And there's other people have changed. Like the first time hearing Van Halen's first record.
Same.
That was another one of those moments, but it wasn't as global, as that. But hearing the first Boston record, it was like,
I heard those. Wow, that's so weird that you said this, because I heard those records, Van Halen 1 and the first Boston, back to back for the first time.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I remember driving around with my buddy, because we'd drive around getting high and stuff, and More Than a Feeling came on the radio, and I'll never forget, we literally pulled over and were like staring at the radio till the song was over and went, what was that? It was like, wow. And then, hearing Eruption going, what is he doing?
Right.
It's like,
that's like,
can I even play guitar anymore?
It's like it comes on the radio and you're like, what is happening? You have a wreck.
Yeah.
It's like, like pull the car over. Oh my God. I can't even think right now. This is so, that's
what is this? Yeah.
Right. Well, that's
those moments, man. I love it.
Yeah. You know what that is? That's love.
Absolutely.
I think you're
falling in love with something.
There's a certain amount of, Kurdt has alluded to this numerous times during this conversation. And I think the key here is moments like that don't exist anymore because we are bombarded with information constantly. So the Beatles on Ed Sullivan, first of all, if you even owned a TV, that's your first obstacle.
Right. Right.
Number 2, there might have been 3 channels on that television.
Right.
And number 4, the Beatles are on it one night. I mean, that recipe just doesn't happen anymore,
Exactly.
And then you go back to the Boston record or Van Halen with Eruption. Again, that was a time when something new could come out and it wasn't lost in the tidal wave. Like something new came out and people were paying attention.
Yep.
And they were paying attention because there was a limited number of outlets for you to pay attention to. So you found the one that appealed to you. And so you studied it and you paid attention and you subscribed and you tuned in every night or whatever the thing was at the time. And so you were on a course to get hit by that, Yeah,
right.
Nowadays, nowadays you can't pay attention for more than 2 seconds in any one direction because there's just too much coming at you.
Right. And it's all over here. And it's like this. If you like hip hop, you listen to this stuff. You have no idea what's happening over here. And if you like this, then you stay on these channels and you listen to this. And if you like that, so, and never the twain shall meet.
Right.
Never
Right.
cross, where in Aberdeen, we had, the rock station, which played Foreigner and Casey and the Sunshine Band, and then, something else. It was mixed. So the whole
Yeah.
disco thing was happening on the same station as the rock stuff was happening.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, that's what happened.
Yeah, I would go to the skating rink and hear Kiss, Alice Cooper, Elton John, ABBA, Cool and the, disco.
Yeah. Right.
All night long. So it was like forefathers of metal,
Right.
the Sweet, all
One of my favorite bands.
Oh my God, unbelievable! Their vocal styles and harmonies. It's like Queen became like this. Queen becoming Kiss or something, right?
I mean, Sweet.
Yeah.
I still listen to, Desolation Boulevard and Give Us a Wink all the time.
Yeah, those
all
are
the time.
home runs.
And you're right. You're right. Things are more segmented and compartmentalized now. Like I remember listening to the radio when I was a kid, and I'd hear the Commodores, and then I'd hear Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
And then on the King Biscuit Flower Hour, it'd be Ted Nugent. And then, and then it would come back and there was Rick James. And, it was all mixed.
And then you had the pop stuff, which I love pop music, not what they call pop music now. I mean, I look back on the 70s pop, what I call kitchen radio music, because it was the stuff that was on the radio when we were
AM Gold.
School. Yeah.
AM Gold, man.
Yeah,
AM
exactly.
Gold.
I love that stuff.
Yeah, me
too.
too.
I listened to it because there was the art to songwriting. It was done for a different reason than just want to rock me hard enough. There was these great songs, just these great songs,
Do you remember a song called Bertha Butt Boogie?
Bertha Butt Boogie by Ohio Players.
Do you remember Disco Duck?
Rick Dees?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I remember it. Yeah.
What's the other one? The Night Chicago Died.
Paper Lace.
Paper Lace, right?
Look at this, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We could
AM
put a
radio.
45s, man.
Yeah, I had a bunch of 45s. I had Dragging the Line.
Tommy James and the Shondells.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yep.
Everybody
I love
was
that
kung
stuff.
fu fighting.
Oh,
Yeah.
Carl.
Oh.
I was going to say Carl Weathers, but no, he's the guy who just died.
Nah.
But yeah. Oh, I love that stuff. But it was, and you listen to it because it was a real band playing. What they call pop music now is just a computer having an attack.
Exactly.
It's like, I mean, computers are great now that they sound good, but you use them as a recording device. Now, this stuff is all pitch corrected and it's all, and what they call, this is kind of a weird thing to admit, but I've gone back and I've, because now I'm listening with different ears now too, stuff that was popular. Speaking of the 70s, stuff that was on the radio, Hot Blooded and then Casey and the Sunshine Band, it was like, why? And I heard some of the old disco stuff and I was just like, wow, hey, this used to be the enemy. This was really bad, but I'm listening to it now with different ears.
Yo, it's good.
Absolutely.
It
good.
really is.
Absolutely.
It's like, no wonder, because what they call dance music now is just boom, 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 perfect. But that disco stuff was a real drummer. It had feel and groove and hooky as all get out. And it's like, no wonder this was as big as it was. No wonder.
The Bee Gees had a real drummer.
Exactly. They could write songs.
Yeah.
So now, they could write songs and, okay, so you could dance to it too. There's really nothing wrong with that. But when we were kids, it was the enemy because it was on our radio station. I wanted to hear Black Sabbath, but then they were playing the Bee Gees. I was like, no. So,
the Bee Gees took it out of the comic book and the horror movie, and that's what you wanted when you're younger. I mean, I like the horror movie and the comic book still, as you can tell by
I like being scared.
Hey, watch it.
No, I'm saying that's great. No, I mean I love it. That's exactly right.
Cool. Yeah. Hey, thanks again for doing this segment with us. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.